Angie, congratulations.
Thank you. I am still stunned. Like last night felt like a dream. I was floating for most of the evening, so it was amazing. I am so honored.
Well, thank you for coming back down to earth and landing back where you enjoyed your victory, winning the Waterstones Children's Book Prize. I just wondered whether, because the award is chosen by booksellers, and I just wondered whether, as an American author, whether you've been at all surprised by the reaction and the way that people have taken this book to their hearts in the UK.
I have, I often heard at times, oh, it's a very American story, and then you're like, is that a good thing? But I'm glad to know that there's something that a lot of readers have connected with it. All over the world. It's amazing to me. So to know that even the readers here in the UK have connected with it, even though there are the cultural differences, and even though there are even slang words that are used in American slang that have a whole different meaning here, it still found its audience. So I'm absolutely honored to know that. And it goes to show that books are more universal than we give them credit for being.
You mentioned that there are these cultural differences between the UK and the US. With those differences, what do you think are the universal things that people have identified
But
with?
what I've come to find out a lot, especially from the young people, is the struggle of being two different people in two different worlds. I've had kids here in the UK who come from families who are immigrants, and they say, when I'm at school, I have to present myself a certain way as opposed to when I'm at home. And they connected with Star on that. And then even the kids who come from certain neighborhoods and certain communities, and they often go up against stereotypes and what people assume that they are versus who they actually are. They connected with that. And even the family bonds, a lot of the people that I've talked to have connected with that part. So it's interesting to me that beyond the whole culture of guns and gun crime, there's something there still that they've connected with on a personal level. So I feel honored to know that I even gave them something like that.
There's also something as well about winning an award which is called the Children's Book Prize, and your book is a YA novel. You certainly set out to write a book for that audience. The central character is somebody of that sort of age, but it seems to me as though the book has a slightly wider appeal than that. It feels to me that an adult could read this book and enjoy it just as much. Was that an intention as well when you were writing it? Were you hoping it would go beyond that YA genre, or were you very focused on speaking to that audience?
I was really more focused on speaking to the audience because I feel like with teenagers, especially with topics like this, we talk to them rather than with them. And I wanted this book to be a way to talk with them. So for me, I was like, if adults like it, great. That's just extra, That's just extra love. But for me, it was always about them. But I think too, YA has a large adult readership, and I think that's because so many of us, that's when we found ourselves developing the most and figuring out who we were going to be. And that's the period where we really discovered, or at least started to discover, who we wanted to be as adults. I think it's a special age range, a special time. So it's interesting to me that there's so many adult readers who've connected with Star's story, even with the mention of like the newer music and the sneakers and stuff like that. They're like, yeah, but I connected with her parents,
Yeah.
Or I've actually had a lot of people say, this is the first YA book where I'm older than the parents, and you made me feel some kind of way about that. So that's funny too. But I think it goes to show that if we really listen to teenagers, we can connect with them better than we think we can. If we start listening to them instead of talking to them, talk with them. The ideas and the struggles that they have, most of us can understand them, and we can start to help them work through them more. We just need to actually respect them. So I hope, if nothing else, the book helps adults respect teenagers a little more.
And there's something I think very important about this book in terms of representation. You've spoken in the past about the frustration of being a black woman who doesn't find herself represented in the books that are published. Here we can point out your book, just next to this rather lovely award. But this is the Waterstones exclusive edition. But what's really lovely about it, apart from these sprayed edges and all that sort of stuff, is that on the cover there is the face of a black girl, which shouldn't be remarkable, but actually is.
Yeah.
It's not something that you see very often. Right. Do you think that A, that's important, and B, what do you hope that might help to unlock and to achieve of books going forwards?
Oh, it's definitely important. It's important representation-wise, and even just on a superficial scale, if a young black girl walks into a bookstore and she sees this book, or if she goes into an American bookstore and sees my American cover with a black girl on it, and she's like, wow, that's me. that does something, and it makes her want to pick it up. So if nothing else, she finally sees herself. But then when you see a book like mine on the front of the store, like it is today, and you see a black girl on the cover, if nothing else, hopefully it will validate black girls more so for people who aren't black girls. You see this young black girl on the cover, and maybe for once you'll start to think she's worthy enough to be front and center too. So often black girls are pushed into the background. They're forgotten about. Even when it comes to discussions about Black Lives Matter, black girls are often forgotten. But I want to show their beautiful selves because they are awesome. I feel like black girls can change the freaking world, you know? And so for me, seeing one on the cover and having that representation so that anyone who picks this book up, they will see that right on the front of the cover. That, to me, that's a statement. It's a statement that says, yeah, black girls are worthy of being on the front of the book cover, at the front of the bookstore, and at the window in Waterstones.
Well, you're absolutely right, but I think we're living, just in the last few months, there have been quite a few cultural things where black experience and black stories, black culture has been right at the forefront. You know, we think about a musical like Hamilton winning awards all over the place. If we think about a film like Black Panther becoming the biggest grossing movie, you know, certainly over here. Is this part of a really significant sea change and shift, or is this all just going to sort of happen and then we'll go back to business as usual next year?
I hope it's part of a shift. I really do. I think what we've seen, especially with Black Panther, and even not for me to brag, but even with my book, the fact that a book about a black American girl has found success here, that's phenomenal. For a movie like Black Panther to have found success worldwide is phenomenal when for so long Hollywood and publishing both said that black stories didn't sell. They were lies. They were liars. Or they just made assumptions that were wrong.
Yeah.
So I think we're proving them wrong, and I hope that this leads to more books about black kids at the forefront and more movies about black people. The Hate You Give at the end of the year. But
to name just one.
Yeah, but no, I hope we see more, and I hope we get more mirrors for these kids and more windows for people who aren't like them so that they can actually see what it's like to be a black person both in America and here in the UK, because there are so many misconceptions. And if for nothing else, I hope it humanizes us for more people, because so often we're not seen in that light. We're not given that benefit.
You've helped to do that with, you know, with a central character like Star. I'm sure a lot of readers have identified with her, and she's becoming something of an icon for a lot of young readers. With that frustration you had of not seeing yourself reflected in books, I just wondered, who were the people that inspired you when you were younger? Who were the people that you looked up to?
Well, for one, my mom, who's here. A big one for me growing up, and people are always like, really, was Oprah Winfrey.
Okay.
Oprah was from Mississippi like me. Oprah grew up poorer than I did, but Oprah is the richest woman in the world, you know? So for me, seeing that, I was like, wow, I could be the richest person in the world one day. But like literature-wise, when I was a kid, it was hard for me to find a lot of books or authors who looked like me, but one of my favorites, and she did not look like me at all, but J.K. Rowling. Okay. I loved Harry Potter. Those books, they did something for me, and although I didn't look like her, it was the fact that she came from poverty. She was once on welfare, and there I was, a kid once on welfare, and she became one of the greatest children's authors of all time. And I'm like, it's possible. At least it's possible. So for me, it was a multitude of people, and then it was the civil rights leaders, it was the Black Panthers and the women in the Black Panther movement who don't get nearly enough credit. And then for me, it was also rappers and seeing them come from poverty in neighborhoods like mine and actually make something of themselves. Those were like the models for me, like, wow, yeah, it's possible to do something and to make something of your life. And I'm thankful, and I look back on it now and I can see how each one of them played a role into where I am now. So I learned how to write raw from rappers. I learned how to write a lot of characters from J.K. Rowling. And I learned how to try to be my authentic self from Oprah. So, and my mom keeps me grounded. So all of them.
All of those together.
Yes, all of them together.
That is a good, foursome of people keeping you in place. Well, listen, Angie, it's fantastic to talk to you about your book. I think it's a brilliant book to have won this award. I hope it will also be an important win. I hope that it does become part of this sea change in sort of opinion and action. I wish you all the best for the future.
Thank you so much. Thank you, and thank you to Waterstones and all of the booksellers who voted and made this book the winner. I am still stunned. I really am. I woke up this morning like, did I really win? So thank you so much.
It's definitely real. The award is there. and they
Yes.
can't take it away from
No.
you.
No.